You know why you're here, I know why you're here, and I want to talk about the 12 things you absolutely need to know about Resident Evil Requiem. Let's go. First up, we have a name and occupation for who looks to be the main bad guy in Resident Evil Requiem. Viktor Gideon, an ex-Umbrella scientist who has also got into the real estate industry and bought the Rhodes Hill Civic Care Centre. I think it's safe to assume that he wasn't/isn't doing anything above board at the care centre, considering that it's where Leon and Grace are going to find zombie doctors, zombie chainsaw doctors, and this stalker. And I'm also willing to bet a sensible amount of money on Viktor being behind the creation of those zombies and the stalker. Viktor Gideon is suspected of the mysterious murders the FBI have been investigating, hence why Grace becomes embroiled in his messed up web, as it's hinted in the first trailer for Resident Evil Requiem that he might also be the one behind the death of her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft. As well as sporting an incredible aura-farming snakeskin hooded coat, Viktor is wearing an eye mask/headgear kind of thing. In the GameStop Deluxe Edition leak, there is mention of different skins for a Morphic Visor, and I think that Viktor's headset is that Morphic Visor. The implication here is that we're going to be getting our own Morphic Visor that we can customize through different skins, but why we'd need one, I have no idea. Perhaps putting it on changes Grace or Leon's surroundings, or is required to make it through certain doorways like a security badge of sorts? Whatever its use, it's significant enough to warrant multiple skins. Drop any ideas you have in the comments. Leon is officially confirmed, and yes, we all saw it coming, but that doesn't make it any less exciting. Leon is hunting Viktor. Viktor, being Umbrella alumni, means Leon has a multitude of reasons to seek him out, and runs into Grace in the Civic Care Centre when she's fleeing from the stalker. Leon doesn't expect to find the FBI in the Civic Care Centre, so he's clearly on his own mission, and his goals, or methods, who knows, probably won't align with Grace's. Developers have revealed that Leon is going to have his own action-heavy gameplay sections, but I'll go into more detail about the Grace and Leon dual gameplay shortly. Leon has a hatchet, magnum, killer roundhouse kick, and a custom-built Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. I know, oddly specific, and that's because Porsche are officially collaborating with Resident Evil Requiem to make Leon's car. The Porsche has been built to fit the game world, and I have no idea what that means in practice, apart from the fair amount of Porsche product placement and some gadgets that are probably built into the vehicle. Having two different protagonists with two vastly different amounts of familiarity with Umbrella's shambling horrors, almost at either end of the spectrum, honestly, is unexpected. At the finale of Resident Evil Village, Chris Redfield dropped in wearing a tactical turtleneck and backed up by elite soldiers, which was already one hell of a contrast between Ethan and his baby Arsenal. You'd be forgiven for assuming that Requiem was going to get the same treatment, with Leon swooping in at the end to clean up Viktor Gideon's mess after Grace has done all of the legwork. However, this time around we're getting Leon and Grace sections, one being filled with roundhouse kicks, chainsaws and action, and the other dripping with tension, fear, and a lighter. Developers have revealed that players will be switching between Leon and Grace as the plot advances, and there are a few scenes where the two come face to face. It doesn't sound like this is a scenario A and B type structure like in Resident Evil 2, but instead we'll be switching between the two in parallel stories in a style comparable to Resident Evil Revelations, which had scenario gameplay segments that are grouped together into episodes. The pair have almost equal amounts of gameplay, and I'd assume that Grace is going to be getting a bit more gameplay as she is the newer protagonist. Honestly, Davian loyalists sum the sections up best with this comment. This back and forth structure is creating some reservations, for me at least, already. It's quite the gamble when you have two vastly different protagonists who are going to have different reactions to horror. I don't know if Leon would even be scared. Honestly, the guy's been through a lot. Director Akifumi Nakanishi and producer Masato Kumazawa's interview with Automaton revealed that Grace's gameplay has been based on Resident Evil 2, whereas Leon's gameplay includes martial arts and melee moves, making his sections more comparable to Resident Evil 4. Nakanishi and Kumazawa explained how this works and how it feels to play. It's almost like having two games with completely different types of tension mixed together. Early on, we worried players might not be able to keep up, but now we feel that the contrast gives the game a unique rhythm, like jumping into a cold bath after sitting in a hot sauna. It was important to combine the slow and fast segments well, and Grace and Leon turned out to be the best combination for that. Leon also has lots of new actions, giving you a strong sense of release compared to Grace's sequences. They also justified why they have decided to have two protagonists. If the whole game were Grace, it would be extremely scary. In this case, Leon's sections work to release the tension. You feel safe during Leon's chapters and then scared again during Grace's. It's a consciously designed horror structure. As a result, while Requiem is certainly scary, I think players will also feel a kind of exhilaration and satisfaction that past Resident Evil titles didn't offer. Didn't see this one coming. Grace is the chosen one, according to Viktor, at least. Something about her biology has made Viktor fixate on her, implying that he's been waiting for her to seek him out. Viktor is almost definitely working up some kind of infection or biological entity in the Civic Care Centre, and from this shot it's clear that Viktor has been infusing Grace's blood with something. Could Grace's genetic makeup make her the perfect vector for whatever Viktor has been working on? Alyssa, Grace's mother, was murdered. Her death is linked to Viktor in one of the first glimpses we got of Resident Evil Requiem, as the other bodies the FBI have investigated have similar CODs as Alyssa. If Alyssa was one of Viktor's test subjects, it's possible that she was almost a success, whatever twisted thing that would look like to Viktor, so Viktor has concluded that her closest genetic relative, her daughter, will be a success. Being chosen seems to be the same as being cursed at the moment though, as it results in Viktor and the stalker hunting Grace through the Civic Care Centre. And it's Leon who comes to her rescue with his giant magnum. And no, that's not a euphemism. What being chosen actually means is going to be a mystery for now. Unless, that is, it's connected to Elpis. Elpis is a mysterious entity, virus, person thing that even the White House is keeping tabs on. This shot from the most recent trailer shows the White House worrying about Elpis, and Viktor mentions Elpis being set free now that he has Grace. Elpis is a minor Greek goddess of hope. This feels like the classic video game giving characters names that predict their storyline, so perhaps Elpis is the virus Viktor has been creating and he thinks it needs to be released into the world to help humanity in the same way Pandora released hope into the world. It would be typical video game villain to see a deadly virus as a way to help humanity, kind of like he's Thanos coded. Enemies aside from the Stalker have been revealed, and these are some very peculiar zombies. By the looks of it, they've been infected with the C virus, which renders victims still capable of higher brain functions, like speaking, and wielding tools or weapons, just like in Resident Evil 4. Poor Leon is going to be getting one hell of a dose of deja vu. The gold eyes, blackish substance leaking from their skin, and ability to rage bait Leon with words
Think I want a second opinion.
And weapons are all clues that Viktor might have been working on an enhanced C virus. Grace asks in the trailer whether the corpses discovered have post-mortem lividity, which they are confirmed not to have. This is very odd indeed, as it means that the bodies weren't pumping blood when they died, because when dead bodies were discovered, their blood hadn't succumbed to gravity and created the purple bruises of pooling blood associated with dead bodies. This is the opposite of normal and is why the FBI is perplexed, as it means someone has done something to the bodies to affect their internal biology, much like the C virus would do. Grace was being infused with something in this shot, but what if she wasn't having something added to her blood, but something replacing her blood? Something that doesn't act like blood at all, kind of similar to how the mold affected the Bakers' victims by gradually transforming them into mold shamblers. And we know Ethan could walk around and even procreate as a mold person when presumably he had mold and not blood running through his veins. This would explain why there's no post-mortem lividity and potentially why teeth are shown to fall out in the trailer. Viktor's own teeth appear to be metallic. Could teeth falling out be one of the first repercussions of being infected, where the body expels body parts and inserts stronger replacements? My final bit of evidence for this theory is that in the leaked GameStop listing, it reads that Requiem will be picking up the threads of Raccoon City and the Baker estate. Now, this could be a reference to Alyssa Ashcroft, who wrote an article about the Dulvey incident, or it could be hinting that mold is due to make a return. The next section is a huge spoiler relating to a surprise character that's appearing in Resident Evil Requiem, accidentally confirmed by the GameStop Deluxe Edition leak. So skip to the next section if you don't want to be spoiled. As spotted by social media account Dusk Golem, the GameStop store page for Resident Evil Requiem's Deluxe Edition once featured exclusive content for none other than Rosemary Winters. She is the daughter of Resident Evil 7 and 8 protagonist Ethan, and while her inclusion has been scrubbed from the site now, nothing has ever truly gone on the internet. The Deluxe Edition listing describes a Shadow Walker costume pack, which would include 3 outfits for Rosemary. Rosemary, being half human, half moulded, is able to use supernatural powers that transcend human abilities. Shadow Walker seems to imply that these powers are appearing in Requiem, as Shadow Walker does sound stealthy and spooky, though specifics escape me right now. The same listing also mentioned 2 additional story scenarios, along with a major Mercenaries mode update, and a Morphic Visor cosmetic filter for Rose's visor. Weirdly, they didn't say Rosemary here. This is the same Morphic visor I believe Viktor is wearing in the trailers, and I think hints that Rosemary is going to be using the Morphic visor to see things that only Viktor can. As Viktor is obviously infected, it could be that only infected people can use the Morphic visors, which would be where Rosemary, with her mouldy genes, comes in. By now, you know that Grace Ashcroft is the main character of Requiem. Now an FBI analyst, when she was younger, her mother Alyssa was tragically murdered. Alyssa was murdered during her investigation of the Wrenwood Hotel. Grace eventually became an FBI technical analyst to find out the truth about her mother's death, as dead bodies would be discovered under the same circumstances Alyssa was found in. You might recognise the name Alyssa Ashcroft. She was a character in Resident Evil Outbreak, a reporter for the Raccoon Press at the time of the outbreak in Raccoon City. She survived that omnishambles and even pops up in Resident Evil 7, as she penned an article about the disappearances in Dulvey, dated 2016. 2 years later she would be murdered, and I doubt we've seen the last of Alyssa. Either she'll be haunting the narrative just like Amy Lee Gemstone or Claudia de Leoncourt, or she'll be present in the game in a much more monstrous way. Once again, thanks to GameStop and the poor sod who leaked the Requiem Deluxe Edition listing, we know that there are going to be new story scenarios available for purchase. These scenarios are named the Sanctuary Expansion Pass, which is just so vague. Maybe it's centered around a safe room, a locked room scenario where it's mainly puzzles, Sanctuary because you're safe but also stuck. Or it could be something about hunting for a safe place away from Viktor's creations. I honestly have no clue, but if you do, let me know in the comments. And finally, Mother has arrived, in spirit at least, as Grace has a costume named Domitrescu. This is undoubtedly a reference to Alcina Domitrescu, Lord of Castle Domitresque and a runaway fan favourite character of Resident Evil Village who was taken from us too soon. Did you spot anything else in the trailers for Resident Evil Requiem that I've missed here that feels significant to you? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video if you found out something new, and subscribe to Eurogamer for more videos about video games almost every single day. Now, I'm going to go and read up on Lilia from the Outlast trials, so I'll see you folks next time.